Welcome, everyone, to the Sealed Only Challenge. In this series, I, Teffla, will be taking 3 structure decks and building the strongest deck I possibly can with them. Along the way, I'll pick up different packs and cards that will allow me to modify the deck and make it stronger. Some sets with guaranteed cards are sealed behind certain requirements or challenges. These sets, like Dual Devastator and other structure decks, will be set aside until I complete the challenges. Well, packs are limited to my $30 a week budget. This series will document not only my 0 to hero status, but will also be proof as to why you should stick to buying singles. I must say that this is inspired by Nim Nim and Revs cards and sponsored by flashcards. If you want information on flashcards, you can check out their Discord, which will be linked in the description, or you can look them up on TCG Player, or if you know me in real life, you can meet them over at Locals. That said, let's get into it. Alright, so time for week 2's pack opening. As I said at the beginning, I have $30 a week. Each pack was $3, which brings this to a total of $9. And then the tin was an additional $19. So we have like $2 left over. That'll go to some sort of future investment. But that said, let's get into it. I'm just going to start by opening... bumped the camera. Opening the Hidden Summoners packs. Sukahagi, the Poisonous Mayakashi. Praying Kid Lampsies, Praying Kid's Bow Wow Bark, Praying Kid's Plan. Ooh, that's pretty. Tengu the Winged Mayakashi. No use to me, but wow, that's beautiful. Like I said, I'm hoping to get dropsies out of this. That would actually be helpful to me. Rivalry of the Warlords, that's not helpful. Wrong one. Gozen Match, that's the one I needed. Beautiful Gozen Match. Fulfillment of the Contract. Let's get a reprint in the Ignition Assault. Yasha the Skeletal Mayakashi. Never seen him before. And focus. Tsuchigyomo the Poisonous Mayakashi. Alright, final pack. Another, I guess another Gozen Match, or like I said, a dropsies would be great. Focus. Wow, this autofocus sucks. Yasha, the Skeletal Mayakashi. Ultra Polymerization. Onslaught of the Fire Kings. Hand of Nephthys. And Shafu, the Wheeled Mayakashi. Nothing. Besides the one Gozen Match. Maybe that'll go in. Alright, let's move on to the tin. Alright, so I have the tin opened, and I have the little booster package. When I first entered Yu-Gi-Oh! Back, what was it, a couple years ago, this was one of the first things I got because I was trying to build competitive junk, and I was like a huge fan of Yusei. But anyways, I guess we'll open this little blister pack, see if there's anything in here that can help our deck. I'm liking the Junk Speeder. I know he's useful. Alright, we have Junk Speeder. Like I said, gorgeous card. We have Junk Collector. Stardust Assault Warrior. Beautiful card. Martial Metal Marcher. That card fell from grace. And Junk Connector. So, there might be a few things in there we can use. We'll see. We'll see. Alright, let's open our first Mega Pack. Don't really know what I'm looking for in here, but I know that the Mega Packs are great with, like, staples that came out during the year or whatever. World Legacy's Heart. Link Restart. Self-Destruct, and I ran this in my crawlers. Galaxy Worm. Gravity Lash. World Legacy's Landmark. Altergeist Hexia. Ningirsu, the World Chalice Warrior. Alright, that is a gorgeous pull. Majesty Maiden, the True Dracos Caster. Wow. Twin Triangle Dragon, not bad. Mech Knight Orange Sunset, not bad. Die Dance. Link Hole. Muscle Medic, which is awkwardly a water. Maybe. That's a maybe. Destiny Hero Dangerous. And Mecha Phantom Beast Raiten. Second pack. Let's crack it open. We have Demise, King of Armageddon. Mekk-Knight Green Horizon, Artifact Vajra, that might be useful, Junk Breaker, Zombino, World Legacy Pawns, Altergeist Manifestation, Vendread Chimera, that's a beautiful secret, Trickstar Holly Angel, there we go with Priestess of the Necros. She might actually be useful. She's water level 4. Treasure Panda, Bug Signal, End of the World. Wow, how topical. Sniffer Dragon, Smile Universe, and Ojama Duo. Well, I'll pick that up later. No idea what I threw, but hey, I threw something. And final pack. Oops. Wow. What another topical joke. Speedroid Skull Marbles, Amazonas Empress, Double Resonator, Junk Breaker, Zombino, Altergeist Silquidus, another Ningirsu the World Chalice Warrior. Only needed one. Trickstar Catbat, Mekk-Knight of the Red Moon, wow. Parallel Port Armor, Speedroid Malicious Magnet, Kuro Obi the Karate Spirit, another Ojama Duo, FA Hang On Mock, and Breakaway. I guess I'll go make some changes to the deck, and I'll show you the profile before Locals. Alright, this is the deck that I'll be taking with me to Locals. I'll do a quick deck profile and a couple, I'll just explain a few things to you. I made a couple changes to the deck, pulled a few cards out. Don't really remember where I sat said cards, but I know that I pulled a few of them out. Yeah, okay, I found what I pulled out. So, pulling out of the side deck, they didn't help at all, was the double Mind Drain and the one General Raiho of the Ice Barrier. They just didn't see any play. I realized at the tournament that, honestly, hand traps are going to be used on my turn, and having a trap card that stops hand traps isn't good if it's not on the first turn. So, and then from the main deck, I cut the 2 Salvage because they didn't see as much play as I thought they would. I cut Dance Princess, she's bad. I cut Medium, she saw play 1 time and she wasn't even helpful then. Surface is getting cut, both copies. And General Grunard of the Ice Barrier is getting cut. So I'll just do a quick run through. I'll explain some of the smaller combos, and we'll start with the main deck. So, of course, I should probably move these. Of course, we still have the 3 Hexa, best tuner in the deck, hands down. Well, it can dump other cards. So it can search them to the grave, in essence. Plus, it can change its own level. So it's already, like, the best tuner. We still kept in the one prior. I saw that I was special summoning him some on some of the non-recorded duels last week. And I think I finally figured out how to properly use him. Plus, he's needed for Martial Metal Marcher. Double Cryomancer of the Ice Barrier. This card's also pretty good, I guess. It's not as good as I'd like it to be, but it's a level 2 tuner that I can use Hex's effect on. I bumped Zui Jin to 3 because I saw that I was getting him in the grave a lot, and I figured special summoning him back would be pretty good. Not to mention, I can use his effect to special summon General Wayne. We kept in the 3 Defender of the Ice Barrier. This card is also really, really good. It's a level 3, which is good for Hexa's effect, plus it can lock the opponent out of attacking for a little while. 1 Spellbreaker because it's searchable, plus I don't think I'm going to be going against Mystic Mine again. Still at 3 copies of Speaker for the Ice Barrier. She's probably she's my favorite art of the deck, just because she has the woofers. But she's also really good if you pitch her or if you can special summon her. She's a free level 4 if you can special summon her, and all you have to do is control another Ice Barrier. And you can banish her to special summon a level 1 token, so it's good all around. Same with Revealer. Revealer stays at 3, it's the best card in the deck, objectively. You can pitch one to special summon a tuner from deck, and all it requires is your normal summon. What you can do is, instead of paying cost, you can banish her instead of pitching a card from hand. So that's like really good for the mid-level ice barriers, Brionic, Gungnir, but the higher level ones she can get to quite easily. And I learned that you can use both effects once per turn after misreading it, so the more you know. We bumped General Wayne of the Ice Barrier up to 3 just because he's a really good card that you definitely want to see in your opening hand. All it requires is your opponent controlling a monster and you controlling a monster, and you get free search. It's once per turn, so if you open 2, he's a dead card, but he's still pitch fodder for Revealer. So that does it for the Ice Barrier monsters in the main deck. We do have a few other new additions in the form of 2 Fishboard Launcher. This card is insane. It's a level 1 tuner, which is really good for my deck. And it's a free special summon from Grave after pitching it for Revealer's effect if I'd like. So, kind of just good all around. It's another way to get into Martial Metal Marcher if I have the other combo piece. 1 Artifact Vajra. This card is basically just to protect me. It's a artifact hand trap to protect me from opponents' attacks. Focus on the effect. Basically, the only thing that matters is if your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. Sadly, as cost, it does kind of destroy all of the spells and traps I have in my back row. So it's my last resort. If I'm going to lose the game, I can special summon it, but it's also a level 5 body. Doesn't have good stats, but it's a level 5. And then double Mulan Glacia, the Elemental Lord. I noticed I'd want to see one of them during the game. I noticed myself going through a lot of materials in my matches, and I figured Mulan Glacia would be pretty good. Especially now that I'm starting to get some of the Link monsters and some of the lower level synchros that I can work with. So that does it for monsters. Moving on to spells, we still have, we bumped Magical Triangle by 1. You may notice that there's 1 to 2 extra cards in here. I did bump the deck by an extra amount. But Magical Triangle, I noticed myself needing this card more than I thought I would. And I figured it would be best to run it at 3 rather than 2. That makes it easier to get rid of problem cards. Additionally, this insane masterpiece wins over the Ice Barrier. Still searchable by Wayne, might I add. Free special summons or free bounce back to hand from my grave. I mean, yes please. Of course, the significantly better archetype Rhoda that's searchable. So, whoever made this card was on drugs. Triple Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier. Also, whoever made this was on drugs. It's Monster Reborn that stays on the field and gives extra effects. And that's the spells for the deck. So that leaves us with just the 3 traps that you guys know I'm going to run, which is Terror of Trishula. Since we can basically just make a Synchro Monster every turn and crank them out, Terror of Trishula is now better because I can more easily make them. So, figure I'll keep it at 3 until we no longer have a use for it, and then I'll end up cutting it. We have the 1 Martial Metal Marcher that we pulled. This card's just really good. It's a low-level Synchro that has the capability to target a tuner in my graveyard and special summon it. 1 Duloran, still on the banned list is what I meant to say. This card is still limited, and so I'm running it at the max amount. Triple Brionic, because we didn't find anything to fill Brionic's spot yet. So, Brionic, yay! Honestly, I'm probably going to end up, once I start getting the other cards, cutting this card down to 2 and then 1. It just, bouncing cards back to the hand isn't as good as it used to be. Destroying them is better. Speaking of destroying, Gungnir. Also probably going to end up cutting this card down eventually, but we still haven't found anything better than it, so I'm going to cut it from 3 to 2 eventually. But for now, it stays at 3. Trishula, sadly, stays at 1. Probably never coming off the ban list, let's be honest. It's way too good. My favorite card in the deck, the extra deck at least. Trishula, Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This card saw so much play last week and ruined so many combos. And for the other 2 new cards in the extra deck, because we finally have a 14 card extra deck, because 11 plus 3 is 4. Anyways, 1 Junk Connector. This will be really good in the coming weeks as we get, well, I'm not going to ruin the set yet, because it's a bit of a surprise for you guys. But as we get the materials, we will start getting machines and warriors and other playable pieces. So, he becomes better. He lets me synchro on the opponent's turn, too. So, kind of cool. And finally, the one Ningirsu World Chalice Warrior. I didn't have a reason to play more than one, and he's specifically because Crackdown is a card. So if I manage to go into Junk Connector and steal an opponent's Link monster, I can go into Ningirsu. And now, moving on to the side deck, not much has changed. We just got the one new Gozen match. Hoping to see 3 of this eventually. Such a good card for our deck because we run nothing but waters with the exception of Ningirsu and Junk Connector. And I guess Martial Metal Marcher, but we can play without them. So Gozen match, definitely a key point in the deck. Of course, Double Ojama Duo. This can really mess with opponents' plays. A wrench in whatever plans the opponent's making. They can fill up their field if they have Mystic Mine. So, it's just good counter to a lot of decks. Of course, I bumped Heavy Storm Duster up to 3 because... Oh god, does back row destroy us. Point of the Red Lotus, still a really good card for killing the opponent on their first turn. Banishing the key materials in their hands to kill whatever plays they might have during their standby phase is insane. Fiendish Chain. Oddly enough, not very many people remembered what Fiendish Chain actually did, which led to me winning duels. So, I decided to keep it in. I did pull other cards that I could have put in, but I figured Fiendish Chain was the best to keep in. And then finally, the 3 Crackdown, the entire reason we're running Ningirsu. This card is just kind of insane. So, with all that said, I'm going to see you guys at Locals. Alright, so round 1, I wasn't really sure what I was getting into. Of course, we did the customary fist bump that you always do at the beginning of the duel. We split decks. He didn't split mine, so I just decided not to split his, but we should have split decks. And I wasn't sure what I was going against. Basically, he's a friend of mine, and he knew what I was using. Everybody at my Locals knows what I'm using. But I start by special summoning Speaker and then doing Winds over the Ice Barrier, which tributes it for cost, and then special summons one from the deck. So I tribute and he ashes. So I have, like, no plays here, besides activating Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, which he reads. It's a Monster Reborn, for those that don't know. Level 4 or lower Ice Barrier specifically. And it brings back my Speaker. So, I'm giving him a second to read it. It does have the additional effect where if you control 3 or more Ice Barriers, you can be protected from your opponent's extra deck monsters' effects, but I'm not going to get 3. So I pass my turn to him, and he starts with black, or whatever the black feathered thing is, and summons one of his level 4s. I'm not super familiar with Black Wings. I know how to build a deck, just not familiar with the names. And he proceeds to completely annihilate us game 1. We never stood a chance. Like, it was Black Wings against a deck that can barely get out of its own way. He took game 1 without a problem. Game 2, I was going, obviously, against the same person. He had just trounced us game 1. I decided, you know what, I want to go first. Because what are the chances of him opening Ash Blossom again? I start with Medallion, which I accidentally block. He asks what it does. I say it's basically an objectively better Rhoda. Look at my hand, because, you know, combos, right? And I add to my hand Speaker, because that's, if you don't have Revealer, you add Revealer. If you have Revealer, you add Speaker. If you already have Speaker, you just add one of whatever. But I add Speaker to my hand, and think for a second before summoning Revealer, obviously. Oh, wait, that's right. I opened 2 Medallion. My bad. I lied. So, I instead add, I believe, I don't remember what I add, actually. This was a while ago. Due to tech errors, this is taking a little longer than expected. But I believe I add Zuijin. Yeah, I add Zuijin to hand. Guess what Zuijin does? Basically what it does, I can special summon it from the graveyard by dropping the level of a monster I control by 2. So it lets me meet certain requirements for certain cards. And I believe I can tribute him to special summon level 5. I don't know his other effect, I just know the summon. So I summon Revealer, and explain what Revealer does, and it does pitch for cost. A little fun fact here, the judge made a miscall, but if he negates Revealer's pitch effect, like the one that summons from deck, so pitch is cost, and then it summons from deck, and after that effect resolves, as a condition, I can only summon water for the rest of the turn. I pitch Zuijin, and he negates it. So, a special summon speaker, but if you negate the summon from deck, you're not locked into water. And the judge made a miscall on that. I explain what Winds does here, by the way. But the judge actually made a miscall saying that I was still locked into water even though the effect was negated. Which is wrong. That is not actually true. And we actually did some research as a group and found out that he was wrong. But regardless, I can't make a good board 1 board on the first turn, and that leads to me getting completely trounced by Black Leads. So, match 1, we took an L. Alright, so match 2, this is game 2 footage, because game 1 is lost somewhere in the depths of hell, but basically, I was going against, I believe, Sateller. It was one of the tellers, but game 1, he had just trounced me with Utopia Double. This game, I also lost. Game 1 had been really long and really drawn out. We both kind of just made it into a grind game, because heavy trap deck versus another heavy control deck wasn't fun. But going into this one, I knew what he was running, he knew what I was running, and I lost. Bad. I lost very, very bad. He has a Nibiru in his hand, oddly enough, and I had nothing. I did not have a way to play through Nibiru. Nibiru is definitely a problem for this deck. I got greedy and ended up losing because of it. But he Nibirus me. I get kind of butthurt about it. Oh well. But he ends up taking the games, and I just... Well, I was kind of mad at myself because we were now 2 losses with no wins. So that was kind of the epitome of match 2. If you know how Sateller runs, you know basically what the gimmick was. If you don't, well, you're not missing much. It was just a long, drawn-out game against one of my friends. Match 3 was a breath of fresh air, so I was now nothing but losses. But I was going against somebody that I knew what they were running because I had helped them build the deck. I, of course, start with a medallion and kind of just decide to go, you know, basic combo. But what the kid was playing was a very janky Blue Eyes build. Now, bear in mind, it's a kid, so don't beat up on him in the comments. But I had helped build this kid his deck, and I knew what was in it because I had helped build it. And I also knew that he was a kid. He has no money. I was in his shoes. So I summon Revealer and start to do sort of the main combo. I end up taking the game without too much of a problem, actually. Not to be rude, but he's a kid. He's getting used to the game. He's getting, well... He's running Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes, in my opinion, hasn't been good for the past 5 years. But I just kind of played my deck, and it was better than his. So, game 1, we took the dub. Alright, so match 3, game 2. We, of course, have the win from the first game in this match. And, honestly, we just beat him again. Like, there's no two ways to really say it gently. I'm sorry about the horrible glare. The lighting in the room is really weird, and you'll get that from time to time depending on where I sit. We do actually have assigned tables that we have to listen to now. But, anyways, we beat the kid burning Blue Eyes. He did put up a fight. This game, he managed to summon Obelisk the Tormentor, which was a problem, but we win these. So, I did manage to get around Obelisk, expending way too many resources. And he got close. I think he brought me within 2,200 life points of game, which was really good. And like I said, he's new to the game, so don't beat up on him in the comments. He's a really sweet kid, and I really want to see him do well. So, that said, we support people, in this channel, we support people who want to get into the game, who are new, or we support kids that are just trying to have a good time. So, that said, let's move on to the next duel. Alright, so we are now 1-2, looking good, looking fine, and we're going against my friend. I'm not sure if I'm going to say his name, so I'm just going to say my friend Devin. I'm sure he doesn't have a problem with me saying his name. We're against him at locals, and he's actually the one that gave me my really, really nice field center. The dinosaur one that you guys see, that I love and I've been using for a long time, actually. Fun fact, I used to run dinos, and I actually topped locals about... I topped locals about 4 times with my dinos. But... anyways, we're getting into this game. I don't actually know what he's running at this point, so I opened bad and set 1 pass. Like, it was bad. Apparently, he didn't open good either. You saw him show his hand at the screen, but he summons Swamata and attacks my face down. Pretty bad, and at this point I realize he's running Invoked Shaddoll. He sets 1 and passes. I draw. I don't really see anything. If I'm going to be honest, there's nothing here I could have done. So I just set another Zvizian and pass. At this point, he draws into Invocation, and he has plays. He completely just destroys me from here. And that's what I expected from Invoked Shaddoll. There was really no way I could have won that. Like, he has the better deck, he beat me. He was the better player in this situation. And you know what? Kudos to him. So let's move on to the next game. Alright, so match 4, game 2. Obviously, we had lost game 1. I'm a little annoyed. But I decided to open because I refuse to let him just have it. And I refuse to believe that this is a going second deck. So I open up and start playing. I activate my medallion. He doesn't run hand traps, at least not to my knowledge. So I'm just kind of going and popping off. He wins this one. He doesn't open bad this time. And because I was ignorant and refused to believe that I run a going second deck, I lost. Bad. But I had a good time. You know what? Kudos to Devin. And kind of just waiting my turns out. Kudos to his playing style as well. He really wants to make this deck good. Obviously, it is a good deck. But he's trying to make a couple spins on his own build. Kind of like what I did with my dinos. So, you know what? Good luck, Devin, if you're watching this. And honestly, I wish you luck in the future. But that said, we lost match 4, so we, at this point, are now 1-3. Alright, final match of locals, and I'm going against another one of my friends, actually. It's a little kid named Gabe. I've been with him since the beginning. He buys and sells cards off of my sponsor, who is also the vendor at my locals. He and I are just kind of having a conversation while I duel, but pretty much this kid runs in for Noble Knights, and he actually usually does pretty good. He's usually in the bottom half, but there's been a couple weeks where he's gone 2-3, 3-2. So he usually places bottom half to middle in that area. But I had to adjust the camera a little bit, and I'm sorry about it being kind of crooked. Like I said, it's locals. I don't exactly have the best setup, but I'm working on it. So, anyways, we're against him. He's running in for Noble. He Dragoons us game 1. We do actually manage to squeak out the win in game 1. He got us really close. He got us down to 600. But we do manage to squeak out the win. And we move on to game 2. I will say he has had friends standing around and talking to him. Mutual friends. And it's not about the actual duel. It's just we're talking about whatever. And having a good time. Because that's what locals is for. And once again, this is a kid. So don't beat up on him for losing. He honestly did as good as he could. And I give him my compliments for that. Alright, final game of the day. So, he decides he wants to go first. And I'm like, alright, what's he gonna do to me? Because he actually kind of knows how to run the deck. I mean, he's not sure about chain links and that kind of thing yet. And, you know what, that's kind of a hard concept to learn. But he summons special summons. And I believe he goes into... it's Soul Day here, if I remember right. But regardless of what he goes into... he actually is really good with this deck. He's enjoying it and everything. However, I believe, if I remember right, he actually missed timing on one of his effects here. And I had to explain that to him. But, all in all, it was a really good duel. Once again, he did summon Dragoon late game and actually bring me down really low. He got really close. So I do have to give him kudos for that. And I really hope to see him topping in the future. If anybody watching this is contemplating getting into Yu-Gi-Oh!, I would definitely recommend it. Even if you aren't good at the game, or even if it's been a long time, I would highly recommend getting into it just so you can kind of experience it with your friends, hang out with, meet new people, and it's just kind of a way to explore new avenues. Maybe you'll find a deck that you really like me and my dinos. Or maybe you'll meet somebody that'll end up being a lifelong friend. But regardless of your reason, I would highly recommend joining. And like I said, we end up winning this one, so our final score for the day was 2 and 3. So that does it for our locals. Obviously, the challenges have been updated. We did win 2 more matches, so that goes in. I did achieve a comeback win, but because I did not include it in the video, I will not count it. It was against the last player. His Dragoon burned me and had me within 600 life points, came back for that win. I mentioned it earlier. And we did pull secrets, but they were guaranteed secrets. So I'm not going to include them in this little section. We did, however, do well, in my opinion. So, I would like to, before this episode ends, thank everybody who's watched this far. I would like to ask you to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And you know what? As your comment, I want you to tell me what your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh deck of all time is. Whether that be new or old, I'm interested, so let me know.